1 year and 136 days ago, I read the comic Operation True Love on WEBTOON, which I made a video about. Now, I was well aware of what WEBTOON was before I even made that video because it's all over my For You page, everybody's talking about it to this day, but the reason that I made my way over to the app was because I had to know who this man was! Who is this shoddy? And thus, a new obsession was born. When WEBTOON reached out to me and was like, Amanda, do you want to read another? I said, yes! Yes. I, for whatever reason, was under the impression that Operation True Love was the most popular comic on the platform, which is simply not true. In fact, I learned of a comic called Down to Earth by Pookie Senpai. Pookie. Apparently over 550 million people have seen this. 550 million! Clearly, I'm missing out on something big and it's giving me FOMO, so I need to read this immediately. Now, if you aren't one of the hundreds of millions of people in the loop, WEBTOON is a free app where you can read millions of comics featuring art by real creators with new episodes released every day. If you're thinking to yourself, WEBTOON, that's not really ringing any bells, think again. Let me put it this way. How about series like Omniscient Reader or Everything is Fine or even Tower of God mayhaps? Because fun fact, all WEBTOON people, I'm excited to see what all the fuss is about regarding Down to Earth. And the thing is, I haven't seen any spoilers or really anything at all about this comic, so I don't know if it's popular because it's good or popular because it's bad. We'll see. I was thinking, maybe let's read the first chapter together and then I'll check in every like 50 episodes or so. I'm sure some of y'all like to read a couple episodes at a time, bite-sized pieces. No. Personally, I binge and they cannot slow my roll. Here we go. This is what the WEBTOON app looks like. As you can see, there's tons of stuff. If you haven't noticed by now, I definitely veer towards the romances because they're just so juicy. But there are also actions, fantasies, thrillers, whatever floats your boat. Down to Earth is in fact a romance, shocker. The synopsis is, Cade lives his average life. Okay, Marinette. Just a normal girl with a normal life. So Cade is living his average life alone and undisturbed until a cute alien girl crashes into his backyard. By opening up his home, will this otherworldly girl inadvertently open up his heart? So immediately, kind of concerned. Here's why. I don't want this alien girl to be super infantilized. I feel like that creates kind of a weird power dynamic and trope that I'm not a huge fan of, but can't judge a book by its cover. We'll see how I feel after the first chapter. Ooh, the sky. We spend a lot of our time on Earth wanting things. Money, popularity, the latest technology. But once you stop looking for what you want, you just might find everything you need. Okay, I'm assuming this is Cade. I'm loving this art style, very fun. Okay, he's working at some sort of mall. Brilliant observation, I know. Thanks for shopping at Spenders. Have a nice day or whatever. That's not very good customer service. Thanks, you two. Oh, she's blushing. She's seeing the tall, edgy alternative man. Okay. Oh, she's mad that he's not noticing her. So rude. Okay. Is that him? Yeah, I'm assuming that's him. Wait, what? That's not him. That's a different shirt. Like I'm ever shopping here again. Oh, two different people. Sorry, I got confused. Oh. Gay? Okay, checking his phone. Ooh, Ellie. Who's Ellie? Hope you had fun today. I did. Night, Illy. Night. Hey, can we meet up after work? Meet up. That's odd. It's a very dry text convo. She must have something important to tell me. Oh, something like that? Pregnant. No, something like this. It's just not working out. He's so much better than you. No, more like that. Okay, so he's insecure. I'd rather disappear. Hello? Earth to cashier. I'm ready to check out. My bad. Again, the customer service skills aren't great with this one. You know, as your manager, I have to say, I'm not very pleased. Okay, he's the manager. He looks younger than Cade. I'm assuming that that's Cade. Listen, I know how much you love this job, but if you keep bringing that joyless aura with you to work, I'm gonna have to fire you. Telling someone that they have a joyless aura is kind of hilarious. Be friendly towards the customers, even if it's not genuine. And would it kill you to smile, Kevin? Kevin? Why am I already so confused? Do I lack reading comprehension? It's Cade. Oh, there we go. What was that? That gloomy attitude of yours is too loud. Burger Prince. That's funny. Okay, so now he's at Burger Prince with Ellie. It's just not working out. See, you know, kind of called it. If you ever get the, hey, I need to talk text, that's kind of where it's headed. He's unfazed. Okay, that's a little bit annoying. I don't like when people, like, why are you in a relationship with someone if you're gonna be unfazed by the breakup? That makes no sense to me. Yeah, that's the reaction I predicted. Well, my shift at work kind of sucked, and I kind of saw this coming. Then you understand why, right? I feel like you're not quite over blah, 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 blah. Oh, not quite over who? Okay, I'm intrigued. You know, not loving Cade. I'm gonna be totally honest. Maybe I'll come around. Maybe when this alien girl starts opening up his heart or whatever the fuck. Let me go read the next 49 episodes and get back to you. Okay, so here's the tea. A whole day went by and I did in fact read 100 episodes. Yeah, I have a lot of thoughts. Basically, my journey with Down to Earth was, immediately, I didn't like it. Then I got invested. Then I got frustrated. Here's the lore. First of all, we've got Cade, very introverted gamer weeb with an alternative edge. Then we've got Zeta. I was pretty sure upon reading her name that it was pronounced Zyda? But then everyone's calling her Zay for short, which had me confused, so I'm just gonna call her Zay to keep it simple. Zay very much reminds me, or is it Zai? No. It has to be Zay. Zay very much reminds me of Starfire from Teen Titans Go. Very curious, very sweet, doesn't have a complete handle on the English language yet. She can fly and has telepathic abilities if her forehead touches your forehead. There's like a mind swap going on there. The tea is we find out that Cade, I think in high school, fell head over heels for this girl named Delilah. As in, hey there Delilah, what's it like in New York City? Yeah. Delilah seems like this cool, confident gal. She dyed her hair, got piercings, got tattoos. Cade followed suit, so she kind of molded him into the man he is today. Then, for reasons I am not aware of yet, Cade broke up with her, and this caused him to crash out for the next year. I really am so curious about what happened between them. At first, when I was reading the story, like from the first episode, I was like, wait, is it an ex? No, that would be way too obvious. Someone probably died. I mean, the way that he's talking about this event that occurred, it just seems like it can't be an ex, but it is. That's the kicker. Then Cade's best friend Ellie, who, you know, they sort of had a falling out with when he got into a relationship, but she was actually the one who introduced Cade to Delilah. And mind you, Ellie had a crush on Cade all along, and the two actually hooked up after he and Delilah broke up, but it was like a moment of weakness for both of them. They both apologized to each other after the fact. It was kind of a sticky situation, so that was crazy for the girl in the first chapter to literally be Cade's childhood friend. I did not see that coming. Who would have thought that they had any sort of history together? Not me. 3 other characters have entered the picture, and they're pretty major players. The first of which is Cade's manager Stace, and he kind of has a mischievous vibe to him, and I thought that he was going to be there to have gay feelings for Cade, and I was sorely mistaken. It turns out he just wants to be friends because he doesn't have any of his own, and he thought it would be a challenge to get Cade to open up to him, which this is now the second person who is viewing Cade as some sort of like project, because Ellie also said, I believe, that she wanted to get with Cade in part because she wanted to bring back the old happy him, which maybe it's like a phrasing issue, but I don't know, that's kind of weird to me. Then we have Ethan. He's social, enthusiastic, but blunt. He knows that Zay is an alien because Zay accidentally used her flying abilities in public in a Walmart, and Ethan works there, saw the footage, and then saw them out and about in public and approached them and was like, hey girl, are you an alien? So he was the second person to find out. Since he's an avid alien enthusiast, he agreed to protect her secret, and they're now friends. Then we have Cade's co-worker Susie, who's also a model. She's the third person to find out Zay's an alien. She's also a gay queen, so love that for her. As of right now, the story has pretty much been Zay crash landed into Cade's backyard, or like the woods area near his house, when she was escaping her alien planet of Zodia for unknown reasons. Cade and Zay start living together, and he teaches her how to be a human, and that's pretty much what the story has been entailing for the past 100 episodes. It's just seeing their daily life, daily shenanigans. The two are pretty much immediately smitten, but despite the fact that it's pretty obvious that they both like each other and they sort of kind of know it, it seems that this is about to be a very slow burn because A, Cade has trauma, and B, because of that trauma, he created 3 rules for Zay when she first started living with him. They both need to contribute to the household, so chores and all that. They need to trust each other, and they cannot catch feelings for each other. But come on now, we all know how this is gonna end. When has anyone in media ever followed through on a can't catch feelings pact? It never works in the best way possible. Slowly but surely, Cade and Zay. Cade was very antisocial before all of this, but now, he has a friend group of sorts with Cade, Zay, Ethan, Stace, and Susie. The real kicker is, though, guess who made a reappearance into this story? Delilah. So this causes Cade to crash out yet again, which was super unfortunate because he was making strides and leaps and, so much progress when Zay started living with him. Like, he was really coming back into himself again. Turns out that Delilah is this famous model and is showing up in the store that Kay works at because she has some sort of brand deal with them. So as a result, because Cade is like sort of low-key crashing out again, Zay decides to live with Susie after talking about it with Susie and Ellie. And the goal is that, you know, it'll give Cade some space, some time to heal by himself, I guess, because he never really had that opportunity. And that's pretty much where I ended off. That's pretty much where the story is at this point. So let me tell you why initially I didn't like it. There are several reasons. I wasn't a fan of Cade. He's grown on me a bit. I'll give him that. You know, he's not perfect, but then again, no one is. But also, like, in the first couple episodes, he was all like, ugh, woe is me. Do I even have a heart? Mind you, he kept pulling baddies like there was no tomorrow, despite the fact that he was knowingly using these baddies to cope with his own loneliness. Bruh. Now that I know more of the picture, like more about him, I'm slightly more sympathetic to him, I guess. And you know what he also did? He did the whole, I'm a man, you know. I have urges. Ugh. I hate that line in any context. I don't care. He also repeatedly calls Zay a dumbass, which I'm not a fan of. I know it's not that serious, but I'm sensitive. Then of course, the real question was, do I ship them? Am I a fan of this romance? Because, you know, I did admit to you when I was only reading the synopsis that I did have some concerns. I did have my worries. I will say though, I think it grew on me. I kind of was enjoying myself. After reading these 100 episodes, I did get curious and, you know, look around on Reddit, see what people had to say about this. And it seemed like a lot of people were expressing the same concern that I did about the infantilization born sexy yesterday thing. Zay was immediately sexualized from the get-go by Cade, which I wasn't a huge fan of. And that's like a really, really common occurrence throughout every single chapter/episode. But, you know, in terms of the romantic dynamic, I think the thing that helped me get on board was that it wasn't super one-sided. Like, Zay was also immediately checking him out too. Then we had the whole age justification episode about how their planets conveniently orbit their respective suns at the same exact rate. So when they say their ages or like how many years old they are, it's like compatible. Cade apparently is 24 and Zay is 20, which I'll allow, I guess. But don't get me wrong, even though I do find them cute, I do of course have my concerns. For one, the dynamic between someone who's been sheltered their whole life and severely traumatized, forming a deep bond with the first person they come across who shows them even an ounce of kindness. Not my favorite trope. That creates a lot of dependency, which this comic also explores, to give them credit. Then we have the more experienced person in this scenario treating their romantic interest kind of like a pet or child that needs to be protected and looked after constantly, which again, not a huge fan of. Then we get hit with another bomb. Apparently, Zay looks like Delilah, which yikes. And then the most progress that they've made like physically with each other is when Cade was like initiating it because he was crashing out over seeing Delilah again, which means he was sort of like resorting to his old coping mechanisms of using women, which double yikes. Hearing myself explain all this, I'm kind of surprised that I was on board with this as I was, but what can I say? I was charmed by the cliches, the getting caught in the rain, one of them getting sick, the other having to take care of them, nurse them back to health, the frickin' photo booth, having to share the same bed because of various circumstances. Like, you hit me with everything I know and love. My weaknesses. Sneaky Pookie Senpai. That's when I really started to get on board, get invested, and have fun. I also love when the author's humor peeks out, a peek of Pookie if you will. It really makes me giggle. But I started getting frustrated when the story seemed to lack direction, I guess. Which, listen, I didn't mind when you were consistently giving me like cutesy little interactions between the main characters, but now that they aren't interacting as much because they don't live in the same house, well, now I'm pissed. I am curious to see what the remainder of the story is like. I heard that we do eventually get more of an extensive reveal of what Zay's backstory is and why she left. Well, I kind of know a little bit now. Basically, what I know about her leaving Zodia was because she was sort of imprisoned, was very sheltered, and she was told that if she were to leave Zodia, then her planet would like die or something. So I guess we're gonna get more details after the fact, but yeah, I heard from some people that it was pretty underwhelming, but I can't really speak on that because again, didn't read it firsthand. But why was I low-key hoping for some alien interaction? Like, I was low-key harboring the hope that maybe this would like turn from a romance into some sort of like romance sci-fi where there's going to be intergalactic warfare and we would be going to space and all that, but that doesn't seem to be the direction that this is headed in. Also, I am curious what really went down between him and Delilah. And then another thing that's been annoying me is for the past few chapters that I've been reading, we've been going on and on about Zay's potential new modeling career, which I'm gonna be honest, I really don't care about. And also, I feel like literally in every single episode, Zay is very like objectified, maybe not objectified, but sexualized by like literally everyone, and by freaking Stace. I'm actually so disappointed that Stace has genuine feelings and is like genuinely attracted to Zay, because that's really not what I thought his purpose in the story would be. I did not expect him to be like the other romantic love interest for Zay. Also, a funny thing that I noticed, maybe I'm being a bit delusional, but I feel like the Star versus the Forces of Evil parallels are there. For example, we have, you know, an alien girl living in her romantic interests home. Susie, like immediately when I saw Susie, I was like Jackie Lynn Thomas, and then there was another girl from Kate's past that Loki was giving Jana, so I don't know, guys. I am only about halfway through, but you want to hear something crazy? This story is still being updated. It's not over yet, folks. So overall, I had a really great time reading my second comic. As always, it is such a pleasure. But like in terms of the story, mixed reviews, mixed emotions. I will say, probably I did like Operation True Love better. I mean, but they both have their own problems. I will say, I am pretty shocked at how popular this story is. It's not what I expected. If you're curious about the ending, you can go over to WEBTOON and give it a read, or if you want to try something a little bit different, WEBTOON actually has a new update which recommends you comics based on what you like. If you go to this tab over here, you get to immerse yourself further, see trailers and what everyone's obsessed with, discover your next read. It's really fun. I had a good time though. I'm glad I'm in the know. Thank you so much to WEBTOON for sponsoring this video, and I'll see y'all next time. Bye!